Hey there, it's Tammy Davis, and so I don't know how this is going to go, but I thought I would kind of talk about stress in a way that maybe I haven't talked about before. It came from an interesting conversation this morning with regards to men and testosterone and fat loss. And the fact is that this occurs, I should say more importantly, muscle development. And this occurs because heightened state of stress on a cellular level, there's a higher dose of cortisol. So I'm going to try to describe this. So what happens is the stress response is activated and cortisol levels go up. Okay, that's a no-brainer, right? And when cortisol levels go up, we no longer break down our macronutrients properly. It starts with the glucose and the protein, the blood sugar and the protein, and eventually can work into the lipids and the fats, okay? Pardon me. So that's on a cell level. That's not on the digestive level. In turn, this will actually trigger an immune response. Okay, so that said, then you have perpetuated stress because at that point, the system is taxed because there's larger particles floating around, therefore there's more cortisol. So again, we could get into the more specifics of that. And at the same time, if you consider the fact that when cortisol levels are high, you've already got you have an endocrine imbalance because you're pumping out one. Keep in mind, there's a number of physiological effects that occur because essentially our system is redirecting all energy for survival. It may not make sense as to why we don't break down the macronutrients, but that truthfully isn't our concern because that's not supposed to be a long-term experience. Unfortunately, it's becoming a long-term experience. And therefore, when you have an immune reaction, you have higher histamine levels. Okay, this is where histamine intolerance comes in. And then from there, when histamine goes up, I've talked about this before, estrogen levels go up. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference if you're male or female. We all have it. And so if you have higher estrogen levels, guess what, guys? Your testosterone levels are low. And it becomes this cluster, okay? Estrogen is actually known to activate the nitric oxide synthase complex, which then influences the immune system. So now you have even more, okay, of a problem. If you just consider the fact, if we just take all of these other hormones out of the picture and just say that cortisol interferes with the breakdown of excess cortisol interferes with, or I should say, glucose and protein metabolism and assimilation is inhibited because cortisol is being pumped. Okay, that alone should tell you that's going to interfere with your protein development. We could talk about high testosterone or low testosterone. It doesn't make any difference, truthfully, because if you just take that one picture and go, well, I'm not breaking the proteins down, this is the reason for digestive enzymes. It's also the reason for the inclusion of essential oils on a very specific basis. I realize there's a number of people, a good portion of the population, using essential oils, which is great. And including them on a daily basis is helpful. Knowing how to include them on a daily basis is even more helpful because some of them could actually be causing more problems. We see this interactions with medications, there's interactions with herbs, and there's also interactions with oils. So that said, that is, in a nutshell, the reason why muscle development is slow to occur in some people because the stress response is heightened. It would also explain why the older we get, the harder it is to maintain muscle, and we start to carry more fat on us, okay? Keep in mind, fat regulation is also hormonally based. So we go back into the whole hormonal thing. So dropping cortisol loads is essential We know that exercise helps. We know that deep breathing helps. We know that there's a number of stress relief mechanisms available to us that we can implement at any given time. Learning how to be more aware of when to do this is essential. And again, on a cellular level, all of that doesn't really assist us as much if the body isn't breaking down those nutrients, okay? So it is possible to begin to reset that. And in an ideal world, it would be great to say if we all just changed the way we thought and we exercised and we took rest and whatnot, that we could actually improve our health without any assistance from anything else. But the fact is that we're all connected, and there's a synergy, there's a cooperative effect, if you will, throughout nature. I mean, consider the fact that we eat plants. We have them for medicine or medicinal purposes. We can include them alongside our pharmaceuticals. So there's really good value to working with nature, including even hands-on. There's something that I'm currently working on, and I will share more with you at another time, which is I'm very involved with and love gardening and really believe in the value to the healing qualities in plants, not just from taking them internally or applying them externally, but actually through the mere interaction with them. We know that they put off oxygen, which is helpful for us. And at the same time, I believe there's also other things. I mean, we do know that our own pets even recognize when we are upset, and they will converge and offer assistance, if you will. Their own level of love and consolation when they know we're upset. And somehow or another, I'm just really, really curious, because I recognize the fact that plants emit aromatics for their own protection, for their own attraction and reproduction. So knowing that they're doing this, it makes me curious about what they do when we actually interact with them on a physical, hands-on basis. This is something that I'm working on. But going back to the cortisol load, like I mentioned, there are a number of ways to reduce it. Again, through just redirecting the way we think. I don't necessarily like to go say just substitute a negative thought with positivity. That is a helpful thing, but if the negative or the upset is real, if it's there, you don't want to mask it with positivity. Bandages are great for little simple cuts, but when you have a deep wound, you got to do some healing work. And so if you have emotional upset, you are actually stressing your system even more by not acknowledging it and not being a safe place for yourself. This is the reason why I have Self as Sanctuary program. It's to begin to teach this and review, truthfully, the physiological effects of stress. So therefore, if you're not being real with yourself, you're actually creating even more stress. If you are experiencing something that's not positive, and you take the time to, and I'm sorry about the external noise, there's just a lot going on in my little neighborhood today. I'm sure you heard that, and I didn't want to talk over that. Please forgive me for that. Anyway, this just happens to be the place that I could sit. So that said, if there is a negative thought that you can actually redirect into something more positive, and you can feel it in here, then good for you. But if you're just going to try to pretend to feel good, then you are actually creating more stress. And so kind of weighing it out for yourself, but truthfully redirecting your thoughts to the best that you can, being real with yourself, definitely taking the time to breathe deeply all the way into your lower abdomen, and then exhaling completely to where you actually pull the belly button into the spine. This is what we do when we practice yoga. But giving yourself an opportunity to do that, and if you're not accustomed to breathing that way, it's going to feel like you're not breathing deeply, and that's okay. Just repeat it a couple of times and just feel it get deeper and deeper, and just take your time. There's no hurry, okay? Those are a number of ways. Exercise, yes, definitely. Getting away from it all, and, walking, cycling. It's not about losing weight, folks. It's not about reshaping your body. It's about, that is all going to happen if we just start to redirect the way our system is channeling the energy, so to speak. Like I said, there's a number of physiological effects that I share, and I'm happy to share with you if you're willing to, I shouldn't say willing to, if it's something you feel that would benefit you to actually take this on, then please sign up for the program. You can either get to it from my website, synergessence.com, and I even have an Etsy store. In either location, your investment in yourself actually provides money to help those living with mental and emotional dysfunction, instability. I would prefer to say instability, because I don't believe that they are sick. I just believe there's a degree of instability that is severely affecting their life. And this goes for addiction, autism, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, you name it, and all the co-occurring disorders. The truth is, the money that you invest in yourself, a portion of that goes into NAMI, N-A-M-I, the National Association for Mental Illness. Enough said about that. But I just wanted to let you know that that is an opportunity. So exercise, yes, is definitely helpful for losing weight. It's definitely helpful for reshaping the body, but it's even more important for helping to begin to redirect the stress response. We have got to get to the bottom of the stress, which does get down to the cellular response. And this is where, I'm happy and very honored to help those who are in the throes of something like that and looking for a number of different types of assistance. Okay, so other ways to do that. Definitely the digestive system, as I've mentioned before, digestive enzymes. We've talked about quercetin in the past. I know I've had several people say that they don't get a lot of results from quercetin. You got to stick with it. It's not like you're just going to feel 100% better. What we're dealing with is the body undoing years of cellular stress reactions. Think about it. It's years. Our children are being handed to us practically sick. And if you get to be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and up, you've lived years with ongoing cellular stress. So digestive enzymes, quercetin. A couple of other ideas would be holy basil. You can take it in a tea form, which does help. But more, what I like is ashwagandha, because that actually will help lower the cortisol load. I suggest this for many of my folks. And if you're not already, and you don't have to take it in another supplement, you can just take it individually. It's better off that way, because then it's not mixed in with a bunch of other things. It's just you're getting the straight ashwagandha, and you can, like I said, it actually helps to reduce cortisol load. Supporting, believe it or not, the endocannabinoid system. We have an endocannabinoid system, and this isn't a plea to legalize cannabis, because we can actually make our own cannabinoids. And again, there's various essential oils that actually do have have cannabinoids in them. No, it's not THC or the CBD. I have I can do a whole separate video on that, and I just might. But the truth is that there's other cannabinoids within plants that have the same effect. They do influence the very same receptors that cannabis does. So you can actually get the benefit of supporting the endocannabinoid system through the use of essential oils. Again, there's a list of them that I'm happy to, and then there's several different constituents that are considered cannabinoids. And depending on what you have going on with you would determine really which one you would actually use. So that's the reason I'm not providing a list right now, because it really depends on your system. And I'm sorry, again, I'm with you. If somebody could just give us the one answer that would help all of us experience good health, I'd be right there. But the fact is that we have 7.5 plus billion people on the planet, which means there's 7.5 billion plus methods of addressing an individual, because, you know, even though autism is on a spectrum and we know we have variations in schizophrenia and we have all different types of addiction, the same can be said for any illness. Even though it has a specific diagnosis, if you talk to those who live with the same illness, their conditions vary. Therefore, I can't give specifics. And I'm very sorry for that, because I know how frustrating it is. But just know that there are a number of essential oils that have various types of cannabinoids in them that do influence the very same endocannabinoid receptors that will actually help mediate the stress response, because the endocannabinoid system really is involved with this. That said, omega-6s. Yes, we're all told to eat the omega-3s, but you want to, first of all, you want to get your omega-6s and your omega-3s through your food, not through supplement form. And I'm very sorry for those who do sell these supplements, but the fact is that the body, these nutrients compete for assimilation, and if they're taken in supplement form, the body can't. It's missing. I'm going to say this: it's missing the necessary active ingredients from the foods that would signal the body what these are, and there's an undeniable recognition to something that comes to us naturally. Science has not been able to explain it. They've acknowledged it for hundreds of years, and they've never really fully been able. This is the reason why, though, they are attempting to find out what this is and isolate it. But at the same time, we just have to know that it's there. There is a cooperative effect. There's a synergy throughout nature. This includes us. And to get your omega-3s and your omega-6s from your food is far more beneficial than it would be to take it in supplement form. So therefore, nuts and seeds. Get to listen to a little music. I believe that was hard. That said, hemp seeds are probably your perfect ratio of omega-3s and omega-6s, because both are needed for anti-inflammatory and both are needed for hormonal production. And the omega-6s actually affect the endocannabinoid system. This is the reason why people may think they are addicted to junk food, because as we know, a lot of our junk food, as you will, contains the oils that would be considered not good for you, high in omega-6s. It's because you actually are finding a way to self-soothe. So that would be an indication right there that of a system, a hormonal system out of balance, because being able to self-soothe is part of the neurochemistry. And so on that note, you know, your nuts and your seeds are your best option. And if you do eat meat, which is fine, make sure you include your, you can get the information online anywhere, really, foods that are high in omega-3s and high in the 6s, and just kind of begin to play with, eat more whole foods, because at that point your body will know what to do with it. On that note, the other thing I wanted to say about cortisol, and this is another important component, is this, and everything that I'm sharing with you here is researched, and there's plenty of evidence to demonstrate everything that I'm saying. I'm just kind of channeling it for you so that you can begin to apply it in a way that actually serves your system. So the other thing I wanted to mention was that cortisol has actually been found to affect the dopaminergic pathway, which is indicated in addiction. And I've talked about it in other videos, and if you haven't seen it, the true definition or the way of diagnosing an addiction, besides behavior and use, is the fact that the disease itself, if you want to call it a disease, it is an instability by all rights. It is as much of a disease as anything else, because the fact is the neurochemistry is involved as it is with anything else. So it is a health condition that warrants assistance. And on that note, like I said, we recognize the change in the structure when it comes in the brain, when it comes to the use of substances and alcohol, which includes, believe it or not, caffeine, as well as nicotine. The other thing that, though, they've discovered is that cortisol does the same thing. And if we recognize the fact that our children are being handed to us, and we're seeing the early onset of illness at more frequently, it's fair to say that we are actually being born with an altered brain. Now, that's not to say that it's a problem. It's just what happens to the chemistry and the ongoing misuse of nutrients. So I just wanted to point that out, that there's a direct correlation. And this is, again, I don't know how this is going to land with some people. This isn't an excuse. This is a reason. It's a validation for the reality of all of our health conditions. And truthfully, the change in the brain that's occurring would demonstrate why we have an increase in degenerative illnesses, why we are seeing a rise in autoimmune disorders, because keep in mind, cortisol increases estrogen, and estrogen is known to influence the immune system, but then again, all of the neurochemistry does. So even the endocannabinoids, the endocannabinoid is necessary for immune function. So doing the best that we can to actually help stabilize the system is imperative. And again, you can do this through your diet, through deliberate stress relief behaviors and activities, as well as the inclusion of essential oils, because this is going to make all the difference in the world on the cell level. But you have to stick with it, and you have to know that the body is capable. So that is an awful lot of information, like I said, and I'm really, really excited because I just had this idea to look into, because I have another thing that I'm working on that I'll share with you at another time. But the idea of the aromatics that are being put off by the plants just through mere interaction, I'm very curious about that, and will let you know what I find out. All right, you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Oh, synergessence.com, or if you would like to reach me personally, Tammy at synergessence.com.